Three problems the Browns are already dealing with in training camp. This from Dog Pound Daily. Number one, injuries. Training camp preseason haven't been kind to the Browns, especially backup centers. Brian Allen went down earlier. Luke Whippler carted off in the preseason opener. Number two, run game concerns. In the preseason opener, we saw the run game depth firsthand, and it wasn't the prettiest of sights. Group totaled just 56 yards on the ground. John Kelly and Pierre Strong both tying for the team in rushing yards with 15, and John Kelly isn't here anymore. QB and wide receiver depth. The good problem for the Browns that they're facing is QB and wide receiver depth. It's going to be difficult to trim down both positions. The injuries are a concern. I get, if you don't have Jedrick Wills and you don't have Jack Conklin and you're starting DeJuan Jones and you're starting James Hudson, I don't know that I want to see Deshaun Watson behind that line, especially with Javion Cohen. And he did fine, but give yourself at least the opportunity to keep this guy healthy with a decent offensive line.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Dave, I think we're going to sort of be stuck seeing that combination potentially to start the season of offensive linemen. It's less about Jones because I do think they value Jones as the future at the position, even if he's still a little raw in some places and it's only his second year. I think they expect that he's going to sort of become a foundational player up front for them, especially as other guys start aging out. We know Joe Bitonio's only got a couple years left on that offensive line, and so they at least feel, I think, comfortable that they have one of those spots kind of locked up for the future with his presence. But yeah, like what they're going to do at left tackle is going to be fascinating. I think we all expected, and listen, like the Whippler injury from the preseason game, that sucked. And they make the quick trade for Nick Harris, which I think made a lot of sense for them, connecting the dots on that one guy who's very familiar with your team, the culture, generally what you want to do with this offense, even though it'll be a little bit different. So I think that was a natural move for them to sort of fill that void that they now had. So like these other injuries that have happened, like they're concerning, but I think it's the injuries that are still kind of lingering from last year that are the biggest concern of all, to your point. The fact that Wills isn't out there yet, the fact that Conklin isn't out there yet, and we have some questions about what that left tackle spot's going to look like. Plus, you throw in the other sort of overarching, cloud hanging over all of this with Jedrick Wills, which is, are they going to pay him long term? Like you're trying to get an answer to that question, and so the less games he plays, maybe the less sample size you have to know if you want to pay him what he would command on the market. So yeah, that's definitely something leading up to the season that's going to be continually fascinating to follow, because if he's not ready come week one, what that left tackle spot looks like as they try to protect Deshaun Watson, who's their big asset that they're trying to bring back from the shoulder injury already, could be problematic. It really could.
Yeah, and I would say the run game concerns, I think injuries play into that. I think the line plays into that. You were playing an undrafted rookie free agent as one of your starting tackles. So when you got past that, the other thing is D'Onta Foreman didn't play, and that's key.
Yeah. And I was just going to say too, like this offense is different this year, right? Like I don't know that we should take away a ton from week one of the preseason game this weekend in terms of what they were trying to do. They weren't really showing a lot, but I don't know that you're going to get like the 15 yards for both those guys that kind of led the team. I think that was kind of a testament to that game, which is kind of a slog and boring in a lot of ways. And they weren't showing a lot. But I also think you Browns fans probably are going to have to get used to this idea that they're not going to be running the ball with as much authority as they used to, because this offense is, more 11 personnel, spread them out, throw it around around the field a little bit. So I just think that's also going to be par for the course. Now, I'm not saying it can't be as bad as your two leading rushers only having 15 yards, but yeah, I think like early stages of seeing how things are going to look different is kind of what we're gonna see play out throughout the rest of the preseason.
And I think they should be doing what they're doing offensively because it's what Deshaun Watson does well. So I think there were two things. Deshaun Watson hasn't been healthy, and you've been asking him to do things that aren't his strength. What could go
Yeah.
wrong?
Well, and it'll be interesting too, like with his skill set, and you're 100% right, Dave. Like this offense is supposed to be built for him. We know that, and you're supposed to be maximizing his skill set, which is what the Browns should be doing. But it will be interesting to see like once Nick Chubb is back, what his role looks like, how much, if there is maybe an uptick from the early weeks of the season in running because you want to utilize him more. If they maybe start to use him in the passing game a little bit more and he catches some passes out of the slot or something like that. So yeah, the opportunities would be endless, but that dynamic between what the run game even looks like before Nick Chubb and then after Nick Chubb will be another interesting storyline once we get into the season because I think he probably starts the season on the pup list in some capacity or maybe isn't ready week one, and we probably don't see him until a few weeks into the season.